وكفى سلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. So we're talking about Masjid al-Haram, Masjid al-Haram and Haram boundaries, and then miqats. Why is it important? Because we have to, and if we are going in the Haram, and I will add that with the intention of Umrah or Hajj, then we must cross miqat boundaries in the state of Ihram. So quite a few terminologies. Masjid al-Haram, Haram boundaries and Ihram. So if we are going in the Haram boundaries with the intention of Hajj or Umrah, then we must cross the miqat in the state of Ihram. What is Ihram? Ihram is a state. It's a state that a few things become haram on people. A few things become haram on people. They are forbidden on people in that state. So Allah Ta'ala has put us into a state, He puts us into a state where certain things become haram on people. So, we'll talk about that, what becomes haram on people, but it is a state. So remember, it is a state. We put on a few clothings, yes, but it is not about the clothes, it's about the state. Because women don't put any clothes, they don't have anything extra, absolutely whatsoever. So it's a state. SubhanAllah, I've seen some people coming from different parts of the world where, the women have all of these, they're all wearing white, thinking as if it's, their ihram. There's no set clothings for women. They can be in their normal clothings. But it is a state with a few differences, and I'll talk about that inshallah. So, first thing first, it is wajib to enter the state of ihram before crossing the miqat boundaries, if the intention is to go to Haram. Alright? So, if people have the intention to enter into the Haram boundaries with the niyat of Hajj or Umrah, and they have not entered miqat boundaries in the state of Ihram, then there is no way other than to go back and re-enter the miqat boundaries in the state of Ihram. So it's very important that if it is not possible at all, for example, in this day and age, it might not be a possibility, then there is something called dam. Dam is that you actually sacrifice a goat in the boundaries of Haram and distribute it for the people of Haram. If it is not a possibility at all. If people have entered the miqat without ihram and their intention was to go to Haram with the niyat of Hajj or Umrah, and they have not done so, then either they go back, that's fine, or they must give a sacrifice in the Haram boundaries. Alright. Jeddah, as I said, is within the miqat. There is a difference of opinion on that, by the way. But I'm not going into it. To be on the safe side, just assume that it is. We take that opinion where Jeddah is within the miqat boundaries. And Jeddah, so if people are going to Jeddah, of course, normally the airplane, they land in Jeddah or Medina Munawwara or other places, but normally people, if we're going on plane, then Jeddah is within the miqat. So when we are flying, a time comes when it is announced that we will be entering miqat in 30 minutes or whatever time. So make sure that we are in the state of ihram before crossing miqat. Alright, some people I know that they sleep in the airplane and they have not made the intention of ihram, and subhanAllah, they crossed the miqat and now they're wondering what to do. So please don't get into that state. Make sure that we are all in the state of ihram if we are going into the Haram boundaries. So, ideally, or let me talk about that what is ihram. So how do you prepare for entering the state of ihram? So it's sunnah, it's mustahab to clip your nails, remove the armpit and the pubic hair. So mustahab to do that. Do that in your house, not in the toilet of the airplane. So people do that. People do that. We were going to Umrah, and I think it was this Ramadan, and I went to the toilet. SubhanAllah, I was amazed that people actually, it's like somebody had made it so dirty inside, because they were doing it there in the toilet. So don't do that in the airplane. Please do it at home. And then it's also sunnah to do ghusl, or at least wudu. And then this should be done by everybody, this ghusl. This ghusl is not the ghusl like ghusl of janabat. Not like a ghusl, the bath to get rid of the major impurity. This is the ghusl of cleanliness, just like we do ghusl on the Fridays. So that is the ghusl of cleanliness. So if there are women who are in their monthly cycles, they should also do this ghusl. It is not the ghusl of taharat, it's the ghusl of cleanliness. So at this point, there is no restriction as said. Now, after the ghusl, it is also sunnah to put on a little bit of perfume on your body. But that should be in a way that there is no residues that can be transferred over. So for example, people use oils, right? Perfume oils, itar. So if they put it on, then it should be absolutely absorbed, so that there is no residue of that remains, because once you are going to put on the clothes of ihram, I'm talking to men, then, one of the prohibitions of ihram, inshallah I'll talk about that, is that no perfume can be put on. So if there is some residue, like there's a body of the perfume remains, then when you put it on, then it can get transferred over to the ihram. So make sure that if you put it light, so that it gets extremely, absolutely absorbed by the body. But it is sunnah to put on a perfume to the body after taking bath. For men, what is ihram? The clothing of ihram for men is 2 unstitched white sheets of cloth. This is sunnah. It does not have to be white. It can be other colors as well, but sunnah is white clothing. Unstitched, what does it mean, unstitched? Unstitched means not stitched in the shape of the body. For example, we have a shirt, so it is stitched in the shape of the arm. So it should not be stitched in the shape of the body. It doesn't mean that you don't have any stitching. For example, there's stitching at the end, right? Even in the ihram clothes, there is stitching done at the end so that the threads are not coming out. We're not talking about that stitching. Stitching means not stitched in the shape of the body, right? And for men, no other clothing can be worn. Nothing, right? Undergarments, socks, shoes, hats, nothing. The sandals should be of such type that the upper bone, there's a raised bone on the top, that should be uncovered. That should remain uncovered. So, this sort of a sandal where there's a cross strap, there's the straps that are on the sides. So this is fine, or any other sandal, but the goal is that the upper bone of the foot should remain uncovered. For females, for women, there is nothing that is stopped, except that the women who do niqab, to cover the veil, to cover their face, the veil should not cover their face. So the way that can be done is that, people can wear that baseball cap, the pea cap, whatever you want to call it, and then, they can wear a light, they could put a light cloth over it so that it's a see-through, but also it's not covering the face. It's not touching the face, sorry. So this is how the women, they put on their hijab, they put on their niqab. So the goal is that it should not be touching the face. The women who are not praying, who are in their monthly cycles, they must also put on ihram. They must also put on ihram. Again, ihram is a state. Ihram is a state. They should also put on ihram. Alright? Before entering miqat, if they are going in the if they're entering the haram boundaries with the intention of Hajj or Umrah. Alright, then after putting on those two pieces of cloth, what the next is that you pray two rakas sunnah with the intention of ihram. And it is also sunnah to recite Suratul Kafirun in the first rak'ah and Suratul Ikhlas in the second rak'ah. One thing that we must consider is that because it is a sunnah, it's a nafil prayer, the nafil prayer cannot be done at a few times. For example, right after sunrise, that's a makruh time, cannot be done. Right at the time when the sun is at its peak, zawal time, that cannot be prayed. Right before the sunset, it cannot be prayed. In fact, once one has already done his Asr prayer, then between doing of the Asr prayer and before doing Maghrib, one cannot pray any nafil. Alright, so it cannot be done after one has prayed Asr prayer. So, it should not be done at that time. Right, these two rakas should not be prayed at the makruh or the haram times. And of course, women who are in their monthly cycles can also not pray, of course. At this time, when you are praying these two rakas, we are yet not enter in the state of ihram, alright? Clothes are something different, state of ihram is something different. We have yet not entered the state of ihram. So, one of the things that for men, inshallah, as I said, I'll talk about that. One of the prohibitions is that one cannot cover his head. Men cannot cover their head in the state of ihram as well. But because we have yet not entered the state of ihram, we can cover our head for praying at this time. Men can cover their head praying this. Then, after that, once he has prayed these two rakas, so uncover the head for men, uncover the head, and then make the niyat of ihram. Make the niyat of ihram, the intention for ihram. And for intention can be, as I said in the beginning, can be for anything. For umrah, if one is doing Hajj tamattu, or going for umrah, or Hajj, umrah and Hajj both, if one is doing qiran, or only for Hajj if one is doing ifrad. So depends on what sort of niyat are you doing. And then, there are some du'as that are mentioned. Allahumma inni uridu al-umrata fayassirha li wa taqabbalha minni. Allahumma inni uridu al-hajja wal-umrata fayassirhuma li wa taqabbalhuma minni. Allahumma inni uridu al-hajja fayassirhu li wa taqabbalhu minni. Depends on what sort of umrah or what sort of ihram you're putting. So first is for Hajj tamattu, when you're only doing intention for umrah. The second is for qiran, where you're doing the intention of Hajj and Umrah, and the third is for only Hajj if you're doing Ifrad. It does not have to be in Arabic. It does not have to be in Arabic. In fact, it does not even have to be with the tongue as well. Intention is in the heart. So if one makes an intention in the heart, that's enough. But then, it's also sunnah to recite the talbiyah. Slide number 46. It is also sunnah to recite the talbiyah. Talbiyah is, in fact, wajib once to recite it in order to get into the state of ihram. It is mandatory, it is necessary that one recites talbiyah at least once. To recite it 3 times is sunnah. So what is talbiyah? Labbaik, Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik, innal hamda wal ni'mata laka wal mulk la sharika lak. This is talbiyah, that labbaik, here am I, Allahumma labbaik, oh Allah, here am I, and you're at your service. Labbaik la sharika laka labbaik, at your service, there is no partner with you, I'm here at your service. Innal hamda wal ni'mata, indeed all praise and all blessings, laka are for you, belong to you, wal mulk, and the dominion belong to you, la sharika lak, there is no partner to you. So this is talbiyah, and it is wajib to recite it at least once, and this sunnah to recite it 3 times. the men, they should do it out loud, right? So that others can hear as well. Women also do it with the tongue, but like not out loud. So it should not be that loud that everybody gets attentive towards them. But they should also do it with the tongue, but loud enough that they are able to hear by themselves, but not anybody else. So, please make sure that we recite talbiyah in order to enter into the state of ihram. Alright, so intention is very, very important. Very important. First intention and then talbiyah. Intention, as I said, can be in the heart. It can be with the tongue. It can be in any language, does not matter. And the intention is very important. Everything is based on intention. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, Allah Prophet ﷺ said, indeed, all the actions are based on intention. So if intention is good, the reward is good. Sometimes people make bad intentions for a good thing and they don't get any reward for that. In fact, this very sort of a scary hadith narrated by Sayyidina Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala anhu is that the first 3 people who will be thrown into the fire on the Day of Judgment, number 1 will be an alim, number 2 will be a shaheed, number 3 will be a generous man who spends in the cause of Allah. And just because their intention was not for Allah Ta'ala, they'll be the first 3 people. There are 3 best things that a person can do in this life, and he is in the fire. From the first few people. So that is how important niyat is. So please, Hajj is for Allah. Allah Ta'ala says that وَأَتِمُّ الْحَجَّ وَالْعُمْرَةَ لِلَّهِ, that to complete your Hajj and Umrah only for the sake of Allah. So it's not to gain fame, or it's not a vacation, it's not holidays, although it's the best holidays, honestly speaking, but we're not going there for vacation. We are going with the niyat of ibadat. So please, the Prophet ﷺ, this hadith in Kanz al-Ummal, he said that a time will come for the people when rich will go to the Hajj as tourists for enjoyment and amusement. SubhanAllah, some people they go for that. So the people who are middle class people will go to engage in trade and business, and the poor people will go to beg, and the scholars will go to gain name and fame. So SubhanAllah, this can be the intention of people. So please, we are going there only for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So make sure the intention is purely for the sake of Allah. Alright, talbiyah. So talbiyah is necessary, wajib, at least once, to enter into the state of ihram, but talbiyah should be recited throughout the journey. Throughout the journey. It ends right before the tawaf. It ends right before the tawaf. So there is no talbiyah in tawaf. There is no talbiyah in sa'i. It stops right before the tawaf. Alright, and for Hajj, when we put on ihram for Hajj, it stops right before, inshallah we'll talk about that, it stops right before throwing the stone on the jamarat, what we call shaitan. It stops right before that. Alright. And subhanAllah, the words of talbiyah, labbaik, Allahumma labbaik. Here I am at your service, Ya Allah. So what does it mean, here I am at your service? When Prophet Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, he was asked to build Kaaba, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he ordered him that وَأَذِّن فِي النَّاسِ بِالْحَجِّ. وَأَذِّن فِي النَّاسِ بِالْحَجِّ. And call people for Hajj. And subhanAllah, it's very amazing as well that when Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam and Sayyidina Ismail alayhi salam made Kaaba, there was nobody around. Nobody around. There were no phone calls. There were nothing. But Allah Ta'ala is ordering, alright, call people for Hajj now. Ya Allah, call whom? There is nobody. He said, just call. He just said, announce, come for Hajj. And it's my job, Allah Ta'ala said, my job to take that to people. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually took that to people. So, it is also written that when people, so Allah Ta'ala took His message, His voice to everybody, even to the arwah in the spiritual domain. And whoever heard His call, and they said, labbaik, here I am at your service. So whoever recited talbiyah at that time, and the number of times that he recited talbiyah, it is written that Allah Ta'ala gives him tawfiq of going for Hajj that many number of times, or going to Haram that many number of times. So Khair, but this is what we are doing. We are actually answering the call of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam. Yani, by the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, labbaik, ya Allah, here am I. You asked me to come for Hajj, labbaik, Allahumma labbaik, here am I at your service. And Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in this hadith, which is in Tirmidhi and Ibn Majah, he said that مَا مِن مُسْلِمٍ يُلَبِّي إِلَّا لَبَّى مَنْ عَنْ يَمِينِهِ وَشِمَالِهِ مِنْ حَجَرٍ أَوْ شَجَرٍ أَوْ مَدَرٍ حَتَّى تَنْقَطِعُ الْأَرْضُ مِنْ هَا هُنَا وَهَا هُنَا. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has said that when a Muslim, he calls on talbiyah, then everything that calls talbiyah around him, from his right, everything from his right and from his left, from the stones and the trees and everything, all the land, it recites talbiyah along with them, hatta tarqati'u al-ardu min ha huna wa ha huna, until the earth finishes from this side and this side. Yani it means that the whole world, it recites talbiyah along with that person who is reciting talbiyah. Just imagine, so, this is something that we have to think about and consider. And one thing is that, what are we saying? Labbaik, Allah, Ya Allah, here I am at your service. This is a big thing. And subhanAllah, if people, they disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala outside. And for example, you have a child, or say somebody that you call, and he is disobeying you, and he comes and he breaks your windows, and he destroys your house, and he doesn't take care of you, and suddenly one day he comes, oh, here I am at your service. What do you think? What will you say to him? Say, get out. Go away. Don't come here. Right? Very natural. So our mashayikh would be very, very scared. We are saying labbaik, and subhanAllah, outside that labbaik, we are sinning day and night, not controlling our eyes, don't control our tongue, don't control our emotions, our desires. And here I'm saying labbaik, Allahumma labbaik. So our mashayikh will get very scared. What if Allah Ta'ala says, la labbaik, I don't accept you? What are you doing? In fact, it's narrated by Sayyidina Ali bin Zainul Abidin, rahmatullahi alayhi. Whenever he used to enter into the state of ihram, his face would become pale and his body would shake and could not recite labbaik. So somebody asked him, why do you get so afraid? He said, I fear that what if in reply to my labbaik, a cry may come saying, la labbaik, and your presence here is not accepted. And then he would, of course, there is no way but to recite labbaik. He would say labbaik and he would just get unconscious. Just by thinking about, what is my state in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So please, that's why I said that we have to do tawbah before we go. We should do tawbah. That's why we should pray 2 rakah salatul tawbah and beg Allah ta'ala for forgiveness of all the sins that we have been doing and make an intention, Ya Allah, I'm sorry. We'll not repeat that. And then go into a state of ihram. So put on the clothes of ihram before leaving. It's my recommendation, not necessarily, especially for people who are flying. Changing clothes in the airplane, it's not very easy, especially, small little toilets. You never know, it might be, there might be some filth around and you're changing and it all gets soiled with any of the filth. So I don't recommend that. Again, you can do it, but it's not recommended. So put on the clothes, and alright, so the sunnat is to change, to get into the state of ihram at miqat. The sunnat is to change at miqat. But when flying, you cannot stop, you cannot ask the pilot to stop, right at the ihram. So of course, flying, so you have to do it before that in any way. So my recommendation would be that if it is not too long before you enter into the plane, then you do it from home, even the intention. Or at least, as I said, change clothes, do all the mustab acts, take ghusl, take shower, change the clothes and all of that. But then when you're settled in the plane, when you're settled in the plane, because you have to do a lot of things, you may not be able to take care of the rites of ihram. So when you settle in the plane, then recite labbaik. So you do 2 rakahs at home, but don't recite labbaik Allah talbiha. So you have not yet entered into the state of ihram. So state of ihram can only be entered by reciting talbiha, right? So don't recite talbiya, but once you settle in the plane, then you recite talbiya right away. As I said, I know some people who don't do it, who delay it. I'll do it before miqat, and I know that people have slept. And subhanAllah, by the time they wake up, they're already landing in Jeddah. So, be careful. Be careful about that. Alright, you'll have to give dam for that, because you cannot return back, or you'll have to return back if you can. So please be careful about that. Alright, so at least pray, to do mustabaks, take shower, change your clothes, and I pray 2 rakahs if it is not makruh time or it's not a haram time. And if there's not too much any time to be spent on the airport, then also recite talbiyah. What difference does it make? If you think there's too much hassle on the airport and all of that, or it's too much, then as soon as you settle in the plane, please recite talbiyah. Alright? What becomes haram? I said in ihram, certain things become haram. What are the things that become haram with ihram? By going into the state of ihram. Going into the state of ihram. What becomes haram? It's just like becomes haram, like right after entering the state of ihram. Just like when people say Allahu Akbar in prayers, certain things become haram, right? What becomes haram after saying Allahu Akbar of the prayers? Food, eating, talking, drinking, right? All of those, turning away from Qibla, all becomes haram. So, right after saying talbiha with the intention of going into the state of ihram, the certain things become haram. Number 1, all sorts of romance. Every form of romance. Be it verbal, even verbal, or physical. Anything, like kissing, embracing, etc. Everything is haram. If it is anything but the sexual intercourse, it can be compensated by giving a certain types of kafaras. But if anybody engages into a sexual intercourse before Hajj, his Hajj is invalid. Hajj becomes invalid, absolutely. Alright, so it is a very important thing. So any sort of romance becomes haram. So be it verbal, right, saying I love you or things like that, it is all forbidden. So no romance whatsoever in the state of ihram. And that's why it is also recommended, again it's a recommendation, that the spouses should not hold each other's hands as well in the state of ihram. What if, people get the feeling of being romantic, but it is by holding hands. So it is not recommended to do that. So if the women, for example, have to they want to be with their husbands, and they want to hold onto them so that they don't get separated because of crowds, it is recommended to hold the ihram of the husband rather than holding hands. Alright, just to be on the careful side. And what else becomes haram? Hunting. We don't hunt, but hunting, any sort of hunting, or even assisting in hunting. Somebody is going to hunt and you offer him a gun or an arrow or whatever. That's also not allowed. And even, killing any animal is also prohibited. Any animal that does not harm you. Any animal that does not harm you. But the animals that harm, then they can be killed. Alright. What else? Fragrance. Any type of fragrance on body or clothes is prohibited. In any shape or form, whatever that is. Deodorant, fragrance soap, right? People use fragrance soaps, shampoos. So that is all prohibited while in ihram. So what to do? So for example, you have to wash your hands. What to do? Number 1, soap is our psychological thing. If it is washed very properly with water, things get washed easily. I mean, why do we have to use a soap? We don't have to use a soap. These soap companies have marketed too much as if we cannot live without a soap. The soap, we don't have to use soaps. I know there are people who have lived all their lives without soaps. SubhanAllah, I know some of our elders, they have lived without using soaps. And then when they use for sunnah, there's a leaf that if it's boiled, it gives a little creamy, feeling, and then they would, rub on the Fridays, they would take a bath with, rubbing that on their bodies, but they won't use soap outside that. So it's in there. So some people say, I go to the toilet, I clean myself, and then I have to wash my hands. What should I do? Well, water is enough. If you clean properly with water, really rub it and wash it, it's washed. If you really, it's not getting into your head and you're not feeling satisfied, so there are non-fragrant soaps that are also available that can be used. But you have to be very careful that it should say that it's no perfume, 0. Alright, so you can get that from pharmacies. But make sure that no fragrances whatsoever, soaps, deodorant, shampoos, cologne, perfumes, scented, sometimes they give in, the airlines, they will give you scented, towels, right? Perfume towels. Make sure don't use that. It's all haram, it's not all prohibited in the state of ihram. And remember, the perfume that you had put on your body was before going into the state of ihram, right? And make sure that it does not have any residue, so that it does not get transferred over to the clothes of ihram. So please be careful about that. What else becomes haram is removing any hair or nails from any part of the body. Any part of the body, it cannot remove hair or nails. So that also means, be careful if your hair fall, especially, then don't comb your hair. If your hair fall, then don't comb your hair. Because if it gets pulled, then, you'll have to compensate for that. It's haram to pull off hair, cut hair in the state of ihram. Right? It is just to be on the careful side. Otherwise, it's not haram to comb your hair, but if it gets pulled and the hair gets broken, then it can become an issue. Also running fingers, it can also very easily pull off hair. But if there is naturally falling, that's not an issue. Right? What else? Stitched clothing. Right? As we have already said, in the shape of the body. Or any footwear for men. I'm talking about men here. Stitched clothing. And any footwear that covers the top bone of the men, is also prohibited. Covering head for men is prohibited. You cannot cover your head. You cannot wear a cap. It's prohibited. Covering face for everybody, men and women, is not prohibited. So as I said, if women, they do niqab, then they should wear a baseball cap or a visor, and then put their cloth on top of that. What else? Any argumentation, any fighting, that's also prohibited in the state of ihram. So be careful about that. If anybody tries to argue with you, just say Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. What is Assalamu alaikum? I said, making dua for that person. Peace be upon you. And we're not here to fight. Let's have peace. That's what Assalamu alaikum is. Alright, what are some permissible acts that people often take as that they are impermissible? So just to cover a few, some FAQs that are these permissible or not permissible. Umbrella or a shade is absolutely permissible. It's on top of your head, but it's not right on your head. And it's not touching your head. So it is absolutely permissible. Rings, glasses, hearing aids, watches, belts, all permissible. Alright, so you can wear a belt over your ihram to put your stuff in. Because there's no pocket, of course, then you can wear a belt to use it as a pocket. A backpack, wearing a backpack, no issues. Also, some people say, can I take a shower? You can indeed take a shower. There's nothing wrong with that. You can take off your clothes. In fact, you can change your clothes. Again, remember, there's the clothes and there is a state of ihram. It's just a representation for men that I'm in the state of ihram, but so you can change it. For example, if it's really smelly, or for example, it gets soiled with some sort of a filth, you can change it. No, in fact, it's recommended, especially in the days of Hajj, it is recommended to make sure that you keep an extra pair with you, so that if it gets filthy, especially in the toilets that you go to in Arafat, Mina, all of that, subhanAllah, I can still remember that I was very, very sick when I went to Hajj, and we were in Muzdalifah, and wind was blowing, very strong winds. And I went to the toilet and I put my ihram on top of the door. And subhanAllah, it flew with the wind and it fell inside. So it all became filthy. So I have no extra pair, so I'd had to wash it very properly. I was so sick, I had fever and winds were blowing and now it was wet. And when I put it on, oh my God. SubhanAllah, I was shivering literally. So it is good, it's always good to have an extra pair of ihram along with you when you go to, especially to Hajj. And also Umrah, it's also good to have it. But it is okay to change clothes. In fact, women, once they go into their hotel rooms, any inside there, they can just relax. They can take off their hijab, they can take on their abayas, and they can relax, just normal. There's nothing about the clothing. So state of ihram has nothing to do with clothing. Right? Just to make sure that we don't wear the stitched clothing. That's it. And the other things that we're not supposed to cover any head and face, etc. Alright? And some other permissible acts, as I said, to take a shower. Again, make sure that don't rinse your hair. Don't rinse your hair, because it is very natural that, especially when the hair are wet, that the hair may fall off. So if you're taking a shower, I would recommend that you don't put water on your head, but rather just let the water flow over the rest of your body, so that, because you never know, you take a shower, now the hair you may want to comb your hair as well. So it's better that you don't put it on the head, just to be on the safe side. Otherwise, there's nothing wrong with that. Alright, make sure that you use soap. Unscented soap is fine. If the hair fall naturally, it's fine. Covering the body with a blanket is perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. Even sleeping bags are fine. Nothing wrong with that. But when you're sleeping, make sure that you don't put the blanket over your face. Remember, the face has to be uncovered. A pillow is perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with the pillow. So using a pillow is fine, using miswak is fine. Carrying load on the head is also fine. If anybody wants to carry a bag over his head, that is also fine. If somebody wants to sneeze and want to cover their face with a tissue paper, that's also fine. If you make wudu and want to dry the face with a towel, that is also fine. They're all permissible acts. Alright, anything about ihram? Any questions regarding ihram? Can we wear perfume? Can we perfume our clothes before entering the state of ihram for women? Don't do that. Put it on the body. But for women, remember that the perfume of women is different than the perfume of men. The perfume of men can spread, and can be stronger relatively. The perfume of women should be very light. The whole idea of hijab is that we don't attract others for women. So, subhanAllah, some women, they wear, skin-tight jeans and a skin-tight top, and then put this scarf over their head with their makeups on, dark lipsticks, mascaras and all of that, and they say, oh, I do hijab. And by that, they mean, putting on that scarf on the head. This is not hijab. Hijab means a barrier, that you are staying away from men. This is the whole idea behind hijab. So perfume, strong perfume, is also against the rules of hijab, because what are we trying to do with hijab? We're trying to protect ourselves, not to attract anybody. So strong perfumes can attract people. So women, in generally speaking, should not put on strong perfumes. against the Shariat, right? And in fact, there are very strong ahadiths related to that. Very, very strong ahadiths. So first thing first. And the second I didn't say put it on your clothes, but rather put it on your body. And I already mentioned it's permissible to shower while in state of ihram. If women need to take ghusl due to some valid reason, purity, and if by washing their hair do fall, doesn't mandate them. Alright. Yeah, so if the women are, say for example, they entered the state of ihram in the state of their monthly cycles, and now they have to get out of the monthly cycles, so of course they have to wash their hair, and have to make sure that the water reaches every single part of the body. Just be careful. Just be careful. Alright? And inshallah ta'ala, talk about at the end. In fact, let's talk about it now. If the rules of the ihram are broken, so for example, you're passing your finger through your hair, for example, and the hair break intentionally, or for example, the women, they were wearing niqab, they were wearing visor, and they're putting that cloth in front, but it's very, very crowded and they're not able to see properly. It's dark and it's crowded, for example, and they're stumbling all over. So they decided, they will put on the niqab, proper niqab for some time, because they're not able to walk for that time. So they just put on niqab so that the cloth is actually touching the face. So if it's for a little while, and if little hair fall, so it can be compensated by giving charity in the haram. By giving charity in haram. And for one person, for two meals. So it would be around, I would suggest, one can eat meal, I think, in around 10 riyals. Can eat decent meal. So around 20, 25 riyals, 30 riyals, just for one person in the haram boundaries. So if that happens, then you can do that. So, if you have to take a shower, to be careful, but then to be on the safe side, also give some charity at the end as well. But then there are a few breakings of the rules that are bigger. For that, you have to do extra. And for that, one of them was that you entered miqat without, for example, state of ihram, and you cannot go back whatsoever. Then you have to give dam, you have to get a goat sacrifice. And then there are others where you have to actually get a cow sacrifice, etc. But, they're all, so if you do anything wrong, then I suggest that you ask a local scholar, and then ask him, then, this is what I've done, what do I have to do? Alright, because there's a whole huge list. Inshallah ta'ala, we can go over a few. In fact, there are a few in these slides. But, if we start talking about all of that, it would take a lot of time. But, to be on the safe side, just try your level best, but to be on the safe side, do give in charity in any way, because we might have broken the rules of ihram, without having any intention of doing so. Sometimes intentionally it can be done as well, as I said, for example, very crowded, very dark, women cannot walk because it's like a cloth hanging in front of their face. So they put on the normal niqab so that they can actually see through the gap in their niqab. So if it's done for a little while, if it's less than a day or less than a night, if it is less than a day or less than a night that their cloth has touched their face, then that can be compensated by giving charity at the end. Alright? What else? Is it permissible to use toothpaste? If it has perfume, it cannot. Anything, that's what I said. Anything with perfume and fragrance. And toothpaste do have fragrance. That's the whole idea of toothpaste. That your mouth is fresh, right? So, no. Nothing with fragrance, yeah. Soap, shampoos, toothpaste, you name it. Even there's some foods, uncooked foods, which has fragrance that are meant to be fragrant, to be used as refreshers. They have fragrance. We cannot eat that as well. The normal foods, which are cooked, which has spice, flavor, and spice, fragrance, and all of that, the natural, that can be eaten, no issues with that. But that is artificial flavoring, or they are designed uncooked for that purpose, that you get a little fragrant smell out of your mouth or something like that. That cannot be eaten also. All right.
Sometimes, I heard it from a friend of mine. For the men, for the top part of the shoe, we can put buttons so that the top part.
It can be done. It can be done. The only thing is that it cannot be stitched in the shape of the body. That's it. Yeah, if you want to clip it, with a pin or anything, it is okay so that it doesn't fall. It's okay. Nothing wrong with that.
And probably I know the answer myself, but I'm just going to ask. What about the face mask for health purposes?
I'll answer you, inshallah. Take it. Just park it on the side. So.
As far as this slippers or this sandal for men are concerned, there are some two-strap slippers, some stitching on there. So that is okay?
No, it's about clothing. For feet, the only thing that is needed is that the upper bone is uncovered. That's it. That's the only requirement for the shoes, for the sandal. Ji.
Before doing niyat of ihram, men put stronger perfume.
We have done that. We covered that. Before putting on the body, not on the clothes. On the body, it's a sunnah to do that. In fact, we make sure that there is no residue of that that it gets transferred over to the ihram. So it just be on the bodies.
If we start reciting Talbi without making that niyat, like we wear clothes of ihram at home, and we start reciting Talbi just as a zikr, and we don't do niyat particularly, that is okay or no?
No, niyat is necessary. Talbiyah has to be recited with the niyat of ihram. Is there any reason for fragrance not being allowed? It's the hukam of Allah Ta'ala. We're not asking Allah Ta'ala for why not. Yeah, there are some things that are amrun ta'abudi, and we don't want to find any logics for that. Now you ask question in wudu, why do we wash face and the hands and the feet? Yeah? It's hukam of Allah, it's order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They're all orders. Can women use sunglasses? If you go back on slide number 58, that says you can wear glasses, rings, glasses, hearing aids, watch, money belts, everything allowed. Gee. Would you give charity for every single mistake that you make? Give charity once for all mistakes. You can give charity once for all mistakes at the end. But if you make a mistake after giving charity in the state of ihram again, then you have to give charity again. And again, it's not only charity, alright? For smaller acts of impermissibility, charity is enough. But that for bigger ones, then you have to give dams. Alright? Can women put lotion with fragrance on their face before entering? Indeed, yes. Indeed, yes. Gee.
Toothpaste are not part of miswak.
Covered miswak. Miswak indeed can be done. The miswak can be done. In fact, I've heard there are a few toothpaste which don't have fragrance. I've heard that. That can be used. Anything without fragrance is fine. Nothing wrong with that. Even soaps. No issues with that. Alright, let's move on. Done?
Okay, there's one question, I think, same question there. Slide 59, on the washing body. Not to remove dirt.
I'm sorry?
Slide 59 says washing body is allowed, but should not be done to remove dirt.
That's again our Mashaykh say that washing body. See the whole idea about ihram. Whole idea about ihram is to show to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Allah, I'm here in this state with no worldly things along with me. That's the whole idea. We cannot go naked, right? It's immodesty. So we put on the minimum clothes and simplest of clothes. To show to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that, Ya Allah, I'm here with nothing. So when people get dirty and then again not combing hair, just be in that state to show Allah Ta'ala, our pitiful state. So also when the dirt comes on, so we also show to Allah Ta'ala, Ya Allah, look at me, So, we should not be taking showers just for that, I want to remove the dirt. I mean, of course, it can be used to freshen yourself up so that I can do the acts of ibadats, or to, to remove the stinking smell so that if somebody is sitting next to me, it doesn't feel bad about it. But not just for this reason, I have dirt. So dirt is good, it's not bad. That's what it means. Can we give charity in advance? No. If you give charity in advance and then you make mistakes, then you have to give it again. That's what I said. If you give it and then again commit a few mistakes, then you have to give it again. It has to be after that. Alright. But it's something on top of something, Take a question, pass that question. Alright, so now we are in state of ihram. Depends on what are we doing. Either this ihram of umrah or ihram of hajj and umrah or ihram of hajj only. Depends on what sort of hajj are we planning to do. Now we arrive in the state of ihram. So, there are some logistical slides covering logistics. Just be with the group. Just to be on the safe side. Just be with the group. You'll take your passports. What will they do with your passports? You don't want to know. They'll throw it in a bag. A wheat bag or something like that. And then, subhanAllah, the way they handle it is so scary. SubhanAllah, you wonder how will you ever get them back. But alhamdulillah, you always get them back. MashaAllah. It's very interesting as well. So anyway, just be with them, move with the group. Buses, tents, passports, everything. Please be with the group. Now, you're going into the haram. Remember, not Masjid al-Haram, but rather haram. So when you enter haram, remember you have to have that state. Always, throughout your journey, make a habit of reciting talbiyah. And for women, it should be slow, soft tone, just so that they can listen themselves. And for men, it should be out loud. Don't feel, embarrassed or bad. Oh my God, what am I doing? Nobody is doing. Who cares? Who cares? SubhanAllah, when a child cries, if he wants something, doesn't care about anybody. He doesn't care about anybody. Whoever, guests in the house, he will say, mom, will just cry out loud. He doesn't care. Just like that, we are here going to Allah Ta'ala, weaker than that child. And then you call on Allah Ta'ala, labbaik, Allahumma labbaik. We should not feel embarrassed about anything. So in fact, it will give encouragement to others around us to do the same. So inshallah ta'ala, if we, through our reciting talbiyah in an out loud voice, if anybody gets an encouragement and he does the same as well, so we'll get the reward of his talbiyah as well. So don't feel embarrassed. Please do recite talbiyah. Alright, so, there is ihram and then there are a few rulings of the haram boundaries as well. Haram, even if, for example, people living in haram, even though they are not stayed in the ihram, they also have a few rules that they have to follow. So it is not allowed to hunt or frighten an animal or to chop a tree or cut a blade of grass in the haram boundaries. So, haram is a very sacred place. It's a sanctified place. It's a lot of sanctity. So, don't frighten animals in there. So there are cats walking around. Let them walk, let them come. Don't worry. Alright, so be careful when we enter into the haram boundaries. And we have to have a lot of humility, entering in the haram of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are dua as well. You can recite it if you want. Allahumma inna hada haramuka wa haramu rasulika wa faharrim lahmi. You say, Ya Allah, this is your haram and the haram of your Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Faharrim lahmi wa dami wa azmi wa bashari ala nar. Ya Allah, you also make my flesh, my blood, my bones, and my skin from the fire. You make it haram on fire. What a beautiful dua. Ya Allah, this is a sacred place, a place where certain things are haram. So Ya Allah, you make the fire haram on my blood, on my flesh, on my bones and my skin. And said, Allahumma aminni min adhabika yawma tub'asu ibadaka. Ya Allah, save me from your punishment the day that you will raise your slaves. وَجَعَلْنِي مِنْ أَوْلِيَائِكَ. And Ya Allah, make me from your awliya, from your friends. وَأَهْلِ طَاعَتِكَ. And Ya Allah, make me from the people of your obedience. وَتُبْ عَلَيَّ. And Ya Allah, accept my tawbah. إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ التَّوَّابُ الرَّحِيمُ. Indeed, you are the one who accepts the tawbah and you are merciful. Alright, so then, remember, say if, for example, you're going for tamattu or qiran. So first thing you have to do, umrah. Please, as I said, we're not going there to just show a lot of passion and then die down. We have a few things to a few things to do, and we have a few days to cover. So please, our mashayikh have always recommended. There's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, first thing. He said that, أَحَبُّ الْأَعْمَالِ إِلَى اللَّهِ أَدْوَمُهَا وَإِنْ قَلَّ. That the best actions in the sight of Allah Ta'ala are the consistent ones, even if they are little. Yani, there is no much reward in praying like, say, 1,000 rakahs one night, and not praying any rakah for the next 6 months. It's better to pray 2 rakahs, 4 rakahs every night. This is always better. Allah Ta'ala loves that more. Consistent things. So it's better to be slow, but be consistent. And remember, Umrah, Hajj, why are we going there? This is a ritual. We want that our hearts get connected with Allah Ta'ala. We want our du'as to be accepted. And for that, we need to have full presence of our mind and our hearts. Right? So, if we are going there after travel, we have like 6-hour journey, then another couple of hours at immigration, then another couple of hours to Jeddah, already 10, 12 hours. People going, especially for the first time, they can be very, very passionate about it, and rightly so. But, relax. If you go there with after 8, 10 hours of journey and you're going to do Umrah, a time will come that you will want it to finish. I'm so tired, and when will it finish? You'll be looking at your watch, it's already, how much time is left, etc. So don't do that, because your heart won't be there. Our mashayikh have always recommended that you go and relax and rest. Once you are fully fresh, then you go for Umrah. Always do that. Always relax. So, passion is one thing, but sometimes in your emotions you forget about what is a sane thing to do. So please do what makes sense, always. So go, settle in your room, rest. I recommend rest, eat food, go to the toilet, be light, be energetic. Once you know that you are extremely fresh, then go for Umrah, please. And also another thing that is very much recommended, is go at a time when there is, for the next 3-4 hours, there is no prayer coming in the middle. Because, for example, you go and you start after Maghrib. So you landed in the morning, you have rested, you have eaten, you have done everything. Now you're fresh, it's Maghrib time. You say, alright, let me go and do Umrah. Umrah will take you at least, especially in the Hajj days, and even outside, if you're doing it with some sort of peace or slowly, then it will easily take around 3 hours. Now, go after Maghrib. And Isha is like hour and a half after that. So you're in the middle of say tawaf or a sa'i or whatever, and the adhan goes off. And subhanAllah, then the rows they'll start making rows, and they will start pushing you away, especially women, get out of the mataf, etc., right? So you'll have to break it, and you'll have to find a place for the prayers, and it's all of this sort of stuff. So it's better that you start your Umrah at a time when for the next 4 hours is no prayer. So that can only be either after, I would say, right after Zuhr, so after Zuhr or after Isha, because especially longer days, Asr is good 3 hours after Zuhr. approximately. So you can look at the time or whatever. But my recommendation, again, it's recommendation, it's not fard wajib, anything, it's recommendation, it's based on experience of what I've learned from my teachers, is to start around, I would say, a couple of hours after Isha, 2 hours after Isha. So, because after Isha, people have come for Isha from the nearby towns as well. They're all doing tawaf. They want to do tawaf and go back. It's very, very crowded. So, let them finish, let them go. So the tawaf, the haram will start getting a little light, maybe around 2 hours. And then, it's good 4 or 5 hours until Fajr as well. So this is the best time, especially, if it's a little hot. Doing it, again, you'll be rushing if it's hot. If you're doing it after Zohar, it'll be sun, it'll be warm, and again, you'll want to leave ASAP. So it's better to do it at night and after 2 hours after Isha. So it's just a recommendation, you can do whatever. But, it's good to listen to do what our mashayikh have taught, our teachers have taught, and all is barakat in that in any way. So, it's good to refresh your wudu before going to the masjid. As I said, refresh yourself. Alright, if the women have been in state of their cycles, monthly cycles, and they have put on ihram they can put, alright? Ihram, they can put on ihram, they can go into the state of ihram just by reciting talbiyah with that intention. Of course, they did not pray their 2 rakahs, they did not do anything, but with the intention of going into the state of ihram, they've recited talbiyah. So they are in the state of ihram. They must go into the state of ihram if they are going into the haram boundaries with the intention of Hajj or Umrah. So, if they have yet not come out of the state of their monthly cycle and they have not gotten pure, they cannot go into the masjid. It's not allowed for them to go into the masjid. It is impermissible to do that. So they must wait until they come out of that state. By the way, having said that, what if their days are falling within, and these are their dates. There are many things that one can be done. Anyway, I don't want to go into a lot of details of that because there's a whole huge topic for that. But one thing that they can do is that they can delay their cycles by taking the medicine. Alright, they can delay their cycles. It's absolutely permissible to do that. If their days fall into those days, then they can delay their cycle by taking medicine, which are easily available on the pharmacies, right? Basically, it's a contraceptive medicine. They can take that. That will delay they will stop at their cycle basically, and they will not get it until they stop taking it. So it is absolutely permissible to do that. Alright. Few things. The first sight at Kaaba is a very blessed time. These are very blessed moments. And the dua at the time of having the first sight at Kaaba is accepted. Dua that is made when you look at the Kaaba for the first time, it is accepted. And it's for every time. Yani every time you travel to Haram and you have the first sight at the Kaaba, it's a time of the acceptance of du'as. So now, what did I say? I said relax, right? Wait. But men should go to the masjid to pray. So for example, you reach there right before Zohar, and I'm saying don't rush into your Umrah. But it's Zohar, Asr, Maghrib, Isha coming in the middle. So how do you pray? You can go inside so make sure whenever you're going and you're looking at the Kaaba, whenever you have your first sight at the Kaaba, make sure that you raise your hands at that time and make dua. It's a time of the acceptance of the duas. This is what you can do. But I recommend one more thing. I recommend that, if you're with your family especially, or you're with a group, or whatever, you're with your friends or families and you go and do tawaf, Umrah later on with people with you, that I recommend delaying that first sight at the Kaaba until that time when you go for actually Umrah. So your prayers, you do it at the back, somewhere at the back of the masjid where you're not able to look at the Kaaba. So that when you're going for Umrah, for the tawaf itself, that is the time when you actually go and have the first look and then make the dua. It's up to you, it's just a recommendation. But more important is that as soon as you look at the Kaaba for the first time, is a time for the acceptance of du'as. Make sure that you make dua. And ask for everything that you can think of. And dunya and akhirat. Don't only ask for dunya, don't only ask for akhirat. We are in need of the dunya and we are in need of the akhirat. That's why Allah Ta'ala has taught this dua in the Quran. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanatan wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina adhaban nar. So ask for dunya and the akhirat. We are needy people. And the second thing is that we may forget a few du'as, right? Then we will later on be thinking, oh my God, I need to ask that as well, I need to ask that as well. And I forgot that opportunity to make dua at the first sight of the Kaaba. So our Mashaykh have taught one dua, which is a comprehensive dua, that make dua that, Ya Allah, please make me mustajabu da'wat. And make me a person whose du'as are always accepted. Or make me a person that, all the du'as that I'll be making in this trip of mine or later on, please accept all of those du'as. So it's a comprehensive dua. So inshallah ta'ala, if that dua is accepted, then all of the du'as that will be made on later on will be accepted inshallah ta'ala. Alright, so please do make that dua at the first sight of the Kaaba. So one thing, either you can pray at the back, and then you later on go and have the first look together, or if you want to go and pray inside, then you make sure that you don't forget the dua. Alright, so when you go towards the masjid, make sure you're very humble, show a lot of humility, recite talbiyah. There are a few sunnahs, enter from a salam door or from Babul Umrah or Babul Salam. It's sunnah to do that. But, again, in this time, when, the hotels are at different places, you don't want to exert yourself, you don't want to tire yourself, please. Sometimes some things take priority over the others. Alright, so sometimes some things have to be left out in order to accomplish our goal. So please, if you are close to Babul Salam or Babul Umrah, it's good to enter from that sunnah. Otherwise, you can enter from any other door. But make sure when you enter the masjid, any masjid, especially Masjid Haram as well, right foot first, then make dua. What is the dua? Salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah, Allahumma ftah li abwaab rahmatik. And then also entering into the masjid, any masjid, there is another dua, nawaitu sunnat al-i'tikaf, that I make an intention for i'tikaf as far as I am in the premises of the masjid. So you can make that niyat as well, so you'll also get the reward of you get the reward of i'tikaf while being in the masjid. Alright, one more thing. There is no tahiyyatul masjid when you enter into the haram. So a normal masjid, you have tahiyyatul masjid. Tahiyya, what is tahiyya? Tahiyya means greeting. So you go into the masjid, and if it's not a makruh time, then you pray 2 rakahs. If you have time, then you pray 2 rakahs with the intention of tahiyyatul masjid. So when you are going for umrah, there is no tahiyyatul masjid. Our tawaf will be tahiyyatul masjid. The first tawaf that we'll be doing will be the tahiyyatul masjid. That will be the greeting of the Masjid al-Haram. Alright. So, now you're actually going for Umrah. So, when you're going for Umrah, then again, go reciting talbiyah. Then again a recommendation. When you enter from bigger doors especially, or any door in fact, as soon as you enter, it's a possibility that you're able to look at the Kaaba right there, or you can get a glimpse of the Kaaba. I recommend, again, that's what I've learned from my teachers, is that you go with the gaze down. Your gaze down, not just go directly having a glimpse. Because remember, first glimpse is in time of acceptance of du'as. Go with your gaze down. Keep going, keep going, keep going. So there is a place. So if you look into slide number 68, so all of these are doors, outside doors. And then there is, in the middle is the Kaaba. And around the Kaaba is a place where the tawaf is done. It is called mataf. Mim, ta, alif, fa. Mataf. Mataf means the place of doing tawaf. So it's called mataf. So it is, you basically have to take stairs down. People have been there, they know. There is stairs down, and that's the area where the tawaf is done. Or right before that, if it's not crowded. When you know that either I'm going to enter mataf or I'm right outside mataf, you can have a clear sight of Kaaba, and also it's a place where, you can actually stand. That time, then you raise your head. And then you look at the Kaaba and then raise your hands and make dua at that time. So that you can make dua with peace. That's again a recommendation, but you can do whatever. So while going there, head down, very humble, walk slowly. So when you find a less crowded area, then you stand there where you can actually see the Kaaba properly, and then you make dua. Alright? Make all sorts of du'as. And du'as can be, and everything, but don't forget, dunya, akhirat, everything, but don't also forget that, first thing first, Ya Allah, please accept always du'as, but don't forget of also asking about the love of Allah Ta'ala. We don't ask for the love of Allah Ta'ala. Very few people ask for that. Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to make dua, Allahumma inni as'aluka hubbaka وَحُبَّ مَنْ يُحِبُّكَ وَالْعَمَلِ الَّذِي يُبَلِّغُنِي عَنْ حُبِّكَ. That, Ya Allah, I seek your love, and I seek the love of the people that you love. Who love you. I seek your love, and I seek the love of the people who love you, and also seek the love of the actions that can take me to your love. Beautiful dua. So please don't forget to ask for Allah Ta'ala's love. That's the core of our deen. Everything is easy if there is love of Allah Ta'ala in the heart. And this is the journey of love, as I said in the beginning. It's all about love of Allah Ta'ala. So please don't forget to ask about the love of Allah Ta'ala. Ask Allah Ta'ala that He enters into His paradise without any account. And please be very ask for comprehensive du'as. And that's why we travel in the company of our teachers, our mashayikh. Because when they make dua, that we learn also how to make dua. It's an art as to how to make dua. Alright? Any questions until now?
When we enter the haram, said that we can make a niyat of etikaf as well.
Okay.
And then when we, for example, we are performing umrah, so we make the niyat of etikaf as well.
Yeah, the niyat of itikaf while entering the masjid is for as long as I'm in the premises of the masjid, I'm in the state of itikaf. You can do anything in itikaf. You can even eat, drink, sleep, anything is permissible in itikaf. Umrah is
Etikaf is not time frame.
No. It's okay, it's good. Garam de do acha. Can you write du'as on a paper so that you don't forget them and read it throughout the Hajj as an ibadat? It's very good to write down the du'as, but make sure one thing. Du'as are not to be read, but they are to be asked. Right? Some people read du'as. Reading is, subhanAllah, dua, if it comes out of the heart, that is accepted. If it is just reading, people read from the books, it does not have that effect. That's why I do not recommend to people to read du'as from the book. Because we're just reading, what's the point? It can be done, it's not haram, anything like that. Again, I recommend because the du'as that come out of the heart, so you can put down points that these are the things I need to ask, but make sure that you are asking them, begging Allah Ta'ala. Dua is begging Allah Ta'ala. We are fakir, we are poor people, we are beggars in front of Allah. Allah Ta'ala says that, Ya ayyuhan nas antumul fuqara'u ilallah. That, oh people, you are beggars in front of Allah. So a beggar begs. Don't read. So please. There's a very famous story about, Hajjaj bin Yusuf. He's a very oppressive king of the Muslims. Very oppressive. And he would torture a lot of people, have killed a lot of people. So once he was doing tawaf, and he saw a blind man sitting in mataf, where the tawaf is done, who was saying, Allah give me eyes. And the way that he was making dua, that was as if he is reading it. So Hajjaj bin Yusuf, he got very upset. He came to him. He said that, if it is my circle number, whatever, 3, say, for example, and if your eyesight doesn't come back before I finish my tawaf, then I'll get you killed. I'll kill you. So this man, this blind man, just imagine his state. He knew Hajjaj bin Yusuf is such an oppressive. He doesn't mind killing people. After that is dua, Allah, please give me eyes. Oh Allah, I beg you, please give me eyes. The whole tone changed. And subhanAllah, he got his eyesight before Hajjaj bin Yusuf finished his tawaf. So Hajjaj bin Yusuf, after he was done with his tawaf, he said, the way that you were asking before, if you had continued asking for the rest of your life, possibly you would not have gotten your eyesight back. So dua has an art. Dua is begging. Dua is not reading. Some people order. Ya Allah, give me this. Ya Allah, give me that. As if you're ordering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Subhanallah. What sort of dua is that? Dua is begging Allah ta'ala, crying, tears, begging, please, please, please. This is how dua is made. Really begging Allah ta'ala. We should do, please, Ya Allah, make our face like crying. It's best to have some tears rolling down our cheeks. So, please, you can put down du'as on a paper, but make sure you beg. Okay? Alright.
I just wanted to clarify. So the first side of Kaaba, is it recommended that when we're making dua, because you want to have time to make all of the dua, so is it okay if you sit down in that corner, wherever you are, wherever you find some solitude and peace?
Indeed, definitely. The question was that when I said that you enter the Kaaba before tawaf, you go eyes down and find a place where you can actually then look at the Kaaba and make dua. Can you sit and make dua for a long time? Absolutely, yes. This, in fact, this is what you must do. You can stand there as well and, as long as you want. There's nothing wrong with it. All right.
In the state of Ihram, Talbi is required to say loudly Talbi. So when we are staying in hotel, taking somewhere for going for prayer before Umrah, so at all the time
Talbi can be done. It can be done anytime, wherever. Make sure not in the toilet. Yeah, just be careful, but otherwise, yeah, it can be done all the time, wherever.
Yes, that's one tip to share the burden. The dua, sometimes your group will move. By the time you finish, realize they don't see you.
It's a good question. What if you are with a group and you want to make long du'as and then, you finish? 2 things. There are 2 types of groups. One group is just administrative group, right? Administrative group means they've done all the logistics for you. They've done your visas, they've done your bookings, you have traveled with them, all of that. They've helped you in immigration. But that's not like a spiritual group as such. You don't have your sheikh in there and just like, it's just an administrative group. For that, once you arrive in Makkah Mukarramah, you settle in your hotel, they helped you in getting your rooms as well, done everything. Now after that, they don't want you to be with them. They will want you to be alright, next thing that we are doing as a group is, for example, we are going to be here on the 8th of Dhul Hijjah to go in up to be in the bus to go to Mina, right? For example. Like say for example you've reached there on the 6th, and so 6th, 7th, you're on your own, you can do whatever on your own. You don't have to, if they are not doing, I don't think that these administrative groups would ask you to go on for Umrah, with all of them. So this one group. The second type of group is that the group with, with your teacher, with your sheikh, with your alim, and you do it with him. That's a different thing. If you're in that, so if you're in an administrative group, nobody will ask you to be with them. So first thing first, or even if you're going, you be with them, don't be with them. Where is your hotel room, you can do it by yourself and go back. Not an issue. But if it's for the other group, and of course you want to make longer du'as, but of course it's your teacher is there and they're making du'a, then what you can do is that that du'a that I asked, and then that, just make dua that, Ya Allah, give me accept all of my du'as, then inshallah you can move with the group, and then continue making dua anytime, in the tawaf as well, in fact. In fact, that's what I'm going to talk about now, inshallah. Alright. Now, there are two things in Umrah. So, I now assume that we are doing Hajj Tamattu. Alright, Hajj Tamattu, where you do Umrah, take off your ihram, and then put on your ihram again later on 8th of Dhul Hijjah for your Hajj. And Tawaf has two fara'id. One fard, one thing wajib. Tawaf itself, Umrah has two things. One is fard, one is wajib. What is fard is Tawaf. And what is wajib is sa'i. As I said in the beginning, that they're more or less the same thing. There's not much difference about it. In other words, your Umrah is not complete without a Tawaf and a sa'i, both. Alright? So Tawaf, it is basically circling the Kaaba 7 times, and sa'i, it is moving between the two mountains called As-Safa and Al-Marwa 7 times. And both have to be done in the state of ihram. You have to be in the state of ihram for both of them. Not only Tawaf. Tawaf. So, as I said, the Tawaf actually literally means to circle around. Tawaf means, Tawafa yatufu means to circle around. To around anything. Right? So, literally it means Tawaf. But then legally, Shara'an, Tawaf is to circle around the Kaaba 7 times with an intention of Tawaf. And then, subhanAllah, what does it mean? Why do we circle around the Kaaba? Again, as I said in the beginning, that there is a nur of Allah Ta'ala falling down, the tajalliyat of Allah Ta'ala falling at that place, and that is the place which is the center of the universe. And the tajalliyat gets spread in the world from that place. So, we are actually doing the tawaf around the house of Allah, around those tajalliyat that are falling at that place. So, it is as now I'm in the house of my beloved of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I'm moving around that circle, expressing my love. So that's why I said that we have to have the etiquettes, the adab that I told in the beginning. What is absolutely necessary for the tawaf to be valid is to be in the state of wudu. Tawaf is not valid without wudu. Or its sa'i can be done without wudu. But tawaf cannot be done without wudu. Alright? So it is necessary to be in the state of wudu for tawaf. Alright, how to do that? Alright, if I go to slide number 79. So this is like sort of a cross-sectional view of the Kaaba. So there is a sorry. I was trying to see if I could increase the size to the whole page, but that's fine. So one corner has this Okay, wait. Just a second. I think I extended my screen. Online people, can you still look at the picture? Ji? What did I do? Sorry, there's something wrong with the projector here, so I'll just... Alright. Back. Jazakumullah. Which slide number were we on? 79. Alright. So, in one corner is a black stone. Hajar al-Aswad. Al-Hajar al-Aswad. Al-Hajar al-Aswad, the black stone. So it's in a corner. And on the wall that is adjacent to that, on one side, is the door of the Kaaba. And on the other wall, on the other side of Al-Hajar al-Aswad, if you keep going straight, then the corner next to it is called Ar-Rukn al-Yamani. Rukn Yamani. And if you continue going, so for example, alright, you're facing the black stone. You're facing the black stone. On the right wall of the Kaaba has the door, and the left side, the left wall, the other corner of the left wall is Al-Rukn al-Yamani. If you continue going right, facing the Kaaba, where the door is, so you will reach the next wall, and around that wall is a semicircle. It's a semicircle. That is called, basically not that is called, but that's where the Hatim is. Al-Hatim. Multazim was between the door of the Kaaba and the Hajar Aswad. So this wall between the door and the Kaaba, small little portion between the door and the Kaaba and door of the Kaaba and Hajar Aswad is Multazim. Alright. So, what do you do? How do you, when you're going for tawaf? Remember, you're reciting talbiyah so far, but then you reach a point, so the tawaf starts from Hajar Aswad. Alright? Tawaf starts from Hajar Aswad. So when you go in front of Hajar Aswad, right before that, so you are going in a counterclockwise direction. Alright? Going in a counterclockwise direction. Tawaf is done in a counterclockwise direction. In fact, everything moves in a counterclockwise direction. It's very interesting. You know, the stars are moving in counterclockwise direction. The planets are moving in a counterclockwise direction around the sun. Even in peoples, the neutrons, the electrons, everything is moving in a counterclockwise direction. It's very interesting. In fact, that's why Mashaykh say that when you are mixing sugar in the tea, then it is also good to move it in a counterclockwise direction. There's barakat in that. So everything is done counterclockwise direction. I was telling this to somebody, then he asked me, then why is clock in a clockwise direction? So I answered him that if the clock was not in clockwise direction, then how will we know that what is counterclockwise direction? That's our reference. Thank you to Mr. Inventor of the clock that he told me a word, counterclockwise, anti-clockwise direction. So anyway, so going counterclockwise direction, and you reach right before Hajar Aswad. So you draw like an imaginary line. You will never be able to reach. In fact, don't even try to go near the Kaaba in the Hajj days. Very, very crowded. Don't harm yourself. Don't even try to go near to the Kaaba. So you are a little away from the Kaaba, and you reach. So as I said, it's in the corner, right? So make a line. Imagine a line, a straight line from that corner where the Hajar Aswad is all the way to the end of that place, right? So it's a line, imaginary line. There used to be a line, maybe 5-6 years ago. There used to be a line on the floor that made a black line all the way from the corner of where the Hajar Aswad is to the end of the, until the end of the mataf. But now there is no line anymore. So imagine that is an imaginary line. So you go counterclockwise direction until you reach that imaginary line. So at that point you turn facing the Kaaba. You turn yourself as if you are facing the Kaaba. Before that, men, what they do is that the upper portion of their ihram, the upper garment of their ihram, they uncover the right shoulder so that the ihram cloth is coming from underneath their right armpit and is going across. Understood? So they have to uncover their right shoulder. So the ihram upper portion of the cloth have to go from underneath their right armpit and go on the left shoulder. So the right shoulder is uncovered. So they do that before going to that place. So before that, don't uncover. Some people keep it uncovered all the time. I don't know why. In fact, it's immodesty. It's against the modesty that, you're just walking around with you getting yourself uncovered for no reason, for no necessary reason. So please don't do that. Keep it covered all the time. Try to take care of your ihram. Please make sure that you are covered. And so you uncover it, then you go and until you reach right before that imaginary line. So from the corner where the Hajar Aswad is and all the way to the back, so imagine a line, a straight line. So you go and stand there right before that imaginary line and then you turn towards the Kaaba. At that time, you raise your hands as if you're raising in your takbir in the prayers and you say Bismillahi Allahu Akbar. Bismillahi Allahu Akbar walillahi alhamd. Bismillahi Allahu Akbar walillahi alhamd. That's what you recite. And then you make an intention at that point. Make an intention at that point. And that intention can be in your language, can be without saying, can be in the heart, does not matter. Alright? So, and then you turn again in the counterclockwise direction. So what will happen? Your left shoulder will be towards the Kaaba, right? Your right shoulder will be away from the Kaaba and you are facing the flow. Alright? Now, when you will take a step, you will be right on that imaginary line. So you will doing that right before that imaginary line from that Hajar Aswad corner, a straight line. So turn towards the Kaaba, Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, alhamd, then you turn towards the flow of the direction of the flow. Now you take a step and as if you are in that imaginary line. Now what you do is just turn your head. Just turn your head. So now you have said Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, alhamd, made an intention for tawaf, and then when you take a step forward, come on that imaginary line, turn towards it, just turn your head. Don't turn yourself now. Just turn your head towards Hajar Aswad, raise your hands in front of your face, raise your hand in front of your head and say Bismillahi Allahu Akbar. Bismillahi Allahu Akbar. And kiss your right hand. Kiss the palm of your right hand. Kiss the palm of your right hand and then lower your hand. So only turn your face. Don't turn yourself. Raise your hand in front of your face. Say Bismillahi Allahu Akbar. Kiss your right hand. It is just the alternative to kissing the black stone. It's called istilam. It is called istilam. It is just the alternative to kiss the black stone. Ideal is to kiss the black stone. But because so crowded you cannot do that and don't even try that, this is the alternative to do that. It's called istilam. Alright? So now, what do? Everybody is with me so far? I think it's still there. When you're going counterclockwise in the direction of the flow of the tawaf, the one way of locating that if I've reached Hajar Aswad or not on my left, is that if you look on the right side, there are some green tube lights. The green lights. So if you basically in the corner where the Hajar Aswad is and those green lights, if you draw a line between those, that's like a direct exact line. So if you keep an eye on those green lights, right before reaching that green light, that's where you have as if you have reached that imaginary line. So that's easy to locate. Alright? Understood? So this uncovering of your right shoulder is called istiba. Alright? Istiba. And then, alright, so now you have done istilam. Now you start your tawaf. Now you start your tawaf in a counterclockwise direction around the Kaaba. Few things to take care of. Number one, in any tawaf after which there is sa'i, and in the umrah there is a sa'i after the tawaf, right? Everybody knows that. In the umrah there is a sa'i, and in between Safa and Marwa after tawaf. Any tawaf in which there is a sa'i after it, there is something called ramal, which only men have to do. Ramal is that the first 3 circles around the Kaaba have to be done in a little jogging-like position. So as if you're jogging. So you don't actually jog, but because so crowded and anyway, you're not running, keep your family along with you, don't just run, all of that. So just a little bit out, just tighten your fist and just move as if you are jogging. Right? This is called ramal. Prophet ﷺ did that to show their strength to the mushrikeen, look that Muslims are strong. So the first 3 circles are to be done in that position. It's called ramal. Only for men, not women. It's only for men. So they do ramal. Number 2 is that during tawaf, it is makruh to look at the Kaaba. Forget about making movies through your cell phone. It's even makruh to look at the Kaaba during tawaf. Otherwise, it's an ibadat to look at the Kaaba outside tawaf. But during tawaf, it is makruh to look at the Kaaba. Why? Because, I'm just telling you intellectual reasoning for that. We don't have to find an intellectual reasoning for that. But our goal here is not to get absorbed into the sight of the Kaaba, but rather our heart should be connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That the nur, that light, those tajalliyat are coming on the Kaaba, and they are getting reflected from the house of Allah, and they're coming into my heart. So have to have our hearts focused on that I'm absorbing that. And Allah Ta'ala, He deals with people according to their intention. So if we do our tawaf with that intention that I'm absorbing those tajalliyat, that anwarat, that light, then inshallah ta'ala will get the benefit of that. Alright? So please, no looking at the Kaaba. So we are heads down, as I said, heads down, no looking around, women. Well, who cares about who is around me? Right? Head down, totally connected, and doing tawaf. First 3 circles ramal, then and rest 4 walking. So you start walking, head down, and you can do anything during the tawaf. Du'as, tilawats, zikr, whatever. Everything can be done. Anything can be done. I do not recommend reading. Again, for the same reason. It's not about reading. It should be heart. And then, if the group has moved on quickly, we're not able to make all the dua, this is the time, make dua. Right? First dua we already made. Can we stop? Just for out of adab of that, inshallah. Alright, so you can do anything. I would suggest make du'as. Make du'as from your heart, inshallah, as many du'as as possible. Now you're moving around the Kaaba, right? So this is Hatim. Remember that Hatim? I told you a semicircle. Tawaf has to be done outside that. If anybody does inside that, then it will not be complete tawaf. So basically what is Hatim? Hatim in reality, so there is a semicircle, alright? So there is Kaaba and there is Hatim. The place between the Hatim, where the wall of that semicircle ends and where the wall of the Kaaba is, a very small little place. Maybe, I don't know how much, very small. That place in reality is the part of the Kaaba. It used to be part of the Kaaba. When the Kaaba was rebuilt, the mushrikeen, they did not want to use any haram money for building of the Kaaba, and they were short of money. So even they because they used to deal with interest a lot. So they said, our money is interest money, we don't want to use that for the building of the house of Allah. They believed in Allah Ta'ala, but they also worshipped idols as well. Today, that's why they're called mushrik, that they would associate partners with Allah. So they said, we don't want to build the Kaaba, the house of Allah, with haram money, so they actually decreased the length of the wall. So this part was left out. So this is part of Kaaba, inside of the Kaaba. What is not the semicircle itself, where the semicircle ends, right? So this, where it ends, and that from that point to the wall of the Kaaba, very small little space, and it possibly a space of one row in the masjid, the one row, one saf. That's how big is that. But, that's part of the Kaaba. So the tawaf has to be done outside that, because if you do inside, as if you're not done the tawaf of the Kaaba, you have gone inside that, so that's not permissible. So it has to be done around that mataf. And when you reach that Rukn Yamani, I told you that, the corner adjacent to the Hajar Aswad, right before that. So when you reach there, if you are able to go just along with the Kaaba, which you are not able to normally in Hajj days, and don't even try that, but just to complete the discussion, if you are along that, then it is sunnah to kiss that as well, that corner, Rukn Yamani. But if you are moving at a distance, then there is no istilam of that. There is no istilam of that. So just like you did istilam of the Hajar Aswad from distance, right? There is no istilam of Rukn Yamani. Some people do that. It's wrong. You don't do that. If you are with the Kaaba, then you kiss it, it's sunnah. But if you are around, there is no istilam of Rukn Yamani. So you are doing ramal, right? A little jogging-like position. Whole tawaf ends at Hajar Aswad as well. Right? So the starts at Hajar Aswad, and whole circle ends at Hajar Aswad. This wall between Rukn Yamani and Hajar Aswad, this is a very blessed wall. All walls are blessed, but there is something special about that. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has appointed, I think, around 70,000 angels or something, who say Ameen to the du'as of the people who are making dua at this place. So that's why one of the sunnat is to make dua, Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanatan wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina azaban nar. Because such a comprehensive dua that, Ya Allah, you give me the best of the dunya and the best of the akhirat. What is left? And Ya Allah, save me from the punishment of the fire. So everything is included in that. So it's a sunnah to make that dua while doing, while you are in front of that wall, doing tawaf. Alright? So it ends with Hajar Aswad. Again, same imaginary line between Hajar Aswad, in front of Hajar Aswad. Alright? So when you end the first circle, what do? Again do istilam. How do you do istilam? Without turning your chest towards the Qibla, Just turn your face, raise your hand in front of your face, say Bismillahi Allahu Akbar, kiss your right hand. Kiss your right hand, then again turn your face towards the direction of the flow. Again, start the second circle. Again, second circle also has ramal. The second circle ends with at Hajar Aswad. Again, istilam starts the third circle. Again, ramal ends at Hajar Aswad again. So 3 circles, then do istilam. So 3 circles done, no ramal after that. Now normal walking for men. Alright, don't leave your wives behind. Make sure when you're doing ramal, as I said, no jogging, it's just an acting like jogging. Alright? Then 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. 7 circles end with istilam as well. So how many istilams total? 8. Why 4? It is at... No. Every circle ends with istilam. Sorry. Every circle ends with istilam. So first, right before starting, the end of first circle, end of second circle, end of third, end of fourth, end of fifth, end of sixth, end of seventh. Alright, so the total 8. Alright, 8 istilams total. That ends your tawaf. Any questions about tawaf?
So it's in one continuous flow, all the 8, or when you're actually doing Islam, you do a momentarily pause when you look at it?
Yeah, you stop for like a second. When you are doing istilam, you stop for a second, turn your face, raise your hands in front of your face, Bismillah, Allah Akbar, kiss your right hand, and stop, and then start. You don't stop for long, because when it's crowded, in fact, people can push you, and anyway, yeah, so just very momentarily, very, very momentarily.
You make initial takbir, at that time you're facing...
Before you start the tawaf, I said, before you totally turn towards the Qibla, towards the Kaaba, and then you raise your hand as if you're raising in takbir, Bismillah, Allah, Alhamdulillah, make the intention of tawaf, and then you turn towards the flow and then take a step, and then you do your istilam, just turning your face at that time, and then you start the tawaf.
Can this be done when you, right after making the first dua, the first sight, or does it have to be when you're...
And the sunnah is to do it right before istilam. Any other questions?
During the tawaf, we can ask for any of the dua in other language or...
Anything. Urdu, Punjabi, Sindhi, Balochi, Pashto, Malay. Women can, we are talking about Umrah right now, so let's not talk about the specific tawafs. This tawaf was the tawaf of the Umrah, right? So I don't want to confuse people. But if the question is, can women do tawaf alone? The answer is yes, they can do tawaf alone. What do you want? I'm okay. I think we have a lot to cover, so we have, inshallah, it may get delayed for, I think, around 30 minutes or so as well. So I would rather continue, inshallah. Take it. If you get tired, you need a break, let me know. Anytime you need a break, please let me know. I'm okay. Okay? SubhanAllah, one thing is very interesting. Let me finish. Alright, so this is, slide number 83, it tells, it's the aerial view, sort of. So this is the Hatim, that semicircle. And see, where the Hatim ends, the two ends, and there is a small little space between the wall of the Kaaba and the wall of the Hatim. So this place in the middle is, in reality, is the inside of the Kaaba. Alright? One thing what I was about to say that, this circling with the right intention, with the right etiquettes, it is, so what did I say? That we are absorbing the nur. This is what we are trying to do. So somebody told me that, in fact I don't know who told me that, one of my teachers. He said that, subhanAllah, it is like we put our clothes in the washing machine. When you put your clothes in the washing machine, it also, the way that it washes it, that it circles it, right? So, and then after, with circling, it takes all of the dirt away. So this is exactly what it is. You're circling around the Kaaba. It takes away the filth of our heart. If there is no other wrong thing that we are doing. Ji.
So I've never been there, maybe that's why I'm asking.
Ji.
So you take off, like when we enter the masjid, we take off our slippers and everything. So over here as well, you go barefoot?
Very good question. In fact, Jazakallah. Ji, so entering the masjid, you take off your shoes. It's an adab, out of adab. But the reason I said it's a good question is that don't put your shoes anywhere, in the racks or anything. Keep a bag with yourself and put your shoes with you in the bag. Alright? Please. And I also recommend if you and your wife are going together, I recommend that both of you keep your shoes with you. And you with you and your wife with her. Because say for some reason you get separated. Another logistical point is, in this day and age, it is good to keep a local number, both you and your wife. Alright, so that if you get separated, you're able to track. Because I've seen people, they're getting very, very worried, they lose their wives get separated, and then all of the time is actually spent in searching for them. SubhanAllah, it's very, people get worried. So please do keep a local number, or whatever, you have to have a phone. It's roaming or local, I don't care. Like, both must have a phone, so that you can track and also you should have a phone number of the Amir of the group as well, so that you can track him also. So please, so don't worry if you get separated in a tawaf, you and your wife. You complete your tawaf, your wife completes your tawaf, and after you're done with the tawaf, then you can locate each other, where are you. So don't panic, please. So if you have a phone, inshallah ta'ala, it'll be handy. And second, as I said that, keep your slippers with you. Your wife should keep her shoes with her. You with yourself, take a bag with you just for that purpose, so that you can keep your shoes in there and you can hang it, or you can just put it around you. So that if you have to come out, then you have your slippers with you. You can come out of any gate. You never know, so you don't have. First thing first, it's so crowded that people are like in millions. So some people don't care. They will just take out shoes. Especially if they're very similar to theirs, they can actually take. So keep it with yourself. And also, assume. Don't do that, but say if you put it in a rack and you don't find it, don't wear anybody else's shoes. Don't wear it. So it's better to walk barefooted and come back to your hotel and then go and get a new pair of shoes on your way. But don't take anybody's shoes that, I don't have mine, somebody have taken it. So please do that as well. Alright? Alright, if wudu breaks in the middle of the tawaf, then you have to renew your wudu. You have to come out and renew your wudu. There is more detail to that, by the way. The more detail I can talk about that inshallah ta'ala after the break. But the detail, basically, I'll give you the gist of the detail. The detail is that if it breaks after the fourth circle, then there is a way to continue with the tawaf, but then you'll have to give some compensation for every single tawaf, every single circle that you do without wudu. Alright, so inshallah ta'ala, I just have to double check as to what is that. But, either that or you have to do it with wudu. Alright, can you move on now, inshallah? Alright, we'll take a break, inshallah. I just want to finish Umrah quickly. Not much is left, inshallah, then we can take a break. Alright, so after we are done with tawaf, the next is, remember we are doing Umrah. So next is that we have to pray at a place called Maqam Ibrahim. Maqam Ibrahim is basically almost a little bit on the right, but almost in front of the door of the Kaaba. This is the slide number 85. This is the picture of Maqam Ibrahim. So it's right, you can see it's the door of the Kaaba, and almost in the front of that is Maqam Ibrahim. What is Maqam Ibrahim? Maqam Ibrahim is the place, is a stone on which Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam, he stood up to build the Kaaba. To build the Kaaba. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that in the ayat that I recited right in the beginning, Fihi ayatum bayyinatum maqamu Ibrahim. That in it are clear signs which is Maqam Ibrahim. Which is Maqam Ibrahim. So, Maqam Ibrahim is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I made it the place of the prayer. وَاتَّخِذُوا مِن مَقَامِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ مُصَلَّى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I have taken from Maqam Ibrahim a place for prayers. So, after the tawaf, what is necessary, what is wajib? What is wajib is to pray two rakat of wajib tawaf. After tawaf, it is mandatory to pray two rakats of wajib tawaf. Mandatory is wajib. It is sunnah to pray those two rakat of wajib tawaf at Maqam Ibrahim, right around Maqam Ibrahim. But, having said that, again, nobody will allow you to do that, first thing first, because the circle is too big, too many people, they will not allow you to do that. Don't even try that. Don't even try that. Alright? Again, there are some sunnats, but there are some wajibat and there are some faraid. See, it is sunnah to pray it at Maqam Ibrahim, but it is fard not to harm anybody. SubhanAllah, it's in our deen that if it's something on the road that's harming people, you take it away and put it on the side or throw it away. There are people doing tawaf and we stand in front of them and we start praying. Just imagine we are blocking so many people. How much are we harming? It's fard not to harm people. So when there is a priority between a fard and a sunnah, you always pick up the fard. Whenever there's a priority, we have to pick up between a wajib and a sunnah, you always pick up wajib. Right? Because that is of higher priority. So don't even try praying behind or around Maqam Ibrahim. What I recommend is to go right at the back where there is some space. And then pray those two rakahs of wajib tawaf there. So find a place, wherever, it doesn't even have to be in that line. If you find it right behind Maqam Ibrahim, right at the back, do it there. But if it's also very crowded, I recommend to go a little bit on the side, somewhere where you find some relatively a little open space, pray it there. If you don't find any space, there are times when actually the whole mataf is packed, and especially if I talk about tawaf ziyarah, it's all packed. SubhanAllah, people have gone in there to do tawaf ziyarah, they couldn't find any space, they've come back. I've heard these sort of stories as well, that then they went back later. There's sometimes like fully packed, absolutely packed, you don't find any space. So it doesn't have, 2 rakat wajib tawaf can be done anywhere. Anywhere. So please, it's sunnah to do it Maqam Ibrahim, but it is in Hajj sometimes because it becomes very impractical. Alright? So don't do that. So do it, find it, and do it at the back, wherever you find a space in the mataf area. But it is wajib. Remember, it is wajib. It is also sunnah to recite Surah Al-Kafirun in the first rak'ah and Surah Al-Ikhlas in the second rak'ah. After that, alright, before praying these 2 rak'ahs, remember we had done istiba? Remember we had uncovered the right shoulder? It is makruh for men to pray with their shoulders exposed. With their arms exposed as well, by the way. It is makruh to do that. So men who wear half sleeves, or, then it is something that's disliked in the prayers, by the way. So we should cover it back again. Alright, so take it, put the ihram back on. Alright, make sure that you put the ihram back on before you pray these 2 rakahs of wajib tawaf. After that, please make dua. It's a time of the acceptance of duas. It is a time of acceptance of duas, so please make sure that you make dua, long duas. That's why I said, go with time. Don't rush into things. Sit, make dua, good 5-10 minutes of dua, it'll be good. After that, the next step is to drink Zamzam. So find wherever is Zamzam. There are tanks of Zamzam all over. So find where there is Zamzam and drink Zamzam. Zamzam, the sunnat of drinking Zamzam is to face the Kaaba, and if you're drinking outside, to face the Qibla, and drinking standing. Other water, it is sunnah to drink, sit down and say Bismillah and drink in 3 sips. Zamzam, it is sunnah to stand and drink facing the Qibla. Alright, facing the Kaaba. And there is a dua of Zamzam before drinking Zamzam. Allahumma inni as'aluka ilman nafi'an wa rizqan wasi'an wa shifa' min kulli da. Wa shifa'an min kulli da. Oh Allah, I seek beneficial knowledge. I seek from you beneficial knowledge, wa rizqan wasi'an, and vast provision, wa shifa'an min kulli da, and cure from all diseases. And cure from all this very, very beautiful dua. That I seek from you beneficial knowledge. What is beneficial knowledge? Beneficial knowledge is that knowledge in which you act upon. Right? People know a lot of things, but when it comes down to acting, there are very few things that they act on. So beneficial knowledge is the knowledge in which you can actually act. In fact, Prophet ﷺ used to seek refuge from the knowledge that doesn't benefit. He used to say, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min ilmin la yanfa'. That Ya Allah, seek refuge in you from the knowledge that does not benefit. So, Allahumma inni as'aluka ilman nafi'an wa rizqan wasi'an, and vast rizq, wa shifa'an min kulli da, and cure from all diseases. Alright, by the way, Zamzam is a very interesting water. Interesting in the sense that whatever intention you drink it with, you get that. Prophet ﷺ said that, Ma'u Zamzam lima shuribala, that it is for whatever it is drunk for. You want to drink with the intention, I want to get my memory increased, you get your memory increased. You drink it with the intention of that you need more children, you get more children. People have drunk it with a lot of intention, and subhanAllah, you get that, right? People want to drink it with intention of getting married. If you're not married, don't drink it with this intention if you're already married, alright? So I don't understand how can people afford a second wife. So hard to manage one, right? So hard. It's just to wake you up, to make you get some few smiles on your face. Alright. SubhanAllah, our Mashaykh have taught that, it is. Alright, after drinking Zamzam, that is also a time of making dua. So you make dua at that time, it's also a time of acceptance of duas. Our Mashaykh, one of the duas that they have taught us that, Ya Allah, just like you have quenched our thirst by giving us Zamzam, Ya Allah, also quench our thirst on the Day of Judgment. Because that would be a very tough day. So Prophet ﷺ will actually distribute water from his pond called Kawthar So, Ya Allah, give us water from His blessed hands. This is a time for making that dua. It's also time, Ya Allah, also quench the thirst of our knowledge. Because knowledge is thirst as well. People who actually know the beauty of getting knowledge, they know that the knowledge is also a thirst. So all of these du'as, and du'as when they're made in relevance of this, related to the situation, there are also more chances of getting accepted. Alright. Actually, one thing about tawaf, slide number 89. If you break the tawaf before four circles, then you must start over. You have to start over. If you break it after 4, so for example, you break your wudu in number 5. Alright, as I said, there is another way around that, which I'll tell, but, it's about all giving in charity, it requires money. Not everybody can afford all of that. Right, so if you break it after 4, your wudu, for example, break tawaf for example, for wudu, or for any other reason, then you can go make wudu and you don't have to start over. You actually can start from where you stopped. Alright, if it is broken after 4 circles. So remember that. But if you break it before 4 circles, then you have to start all over. Okay? That's just a point. So please read the slides for the few points that have been put. Alright? So I will explain all of that. Now, what's next? Next is sa'i. So what did we do so far? Tawaf. 2 rakat wajib tawaf. And drinking zamzam. And dua all over. During tawaf, after wajib tawaf, after drinking zamzam. Now the next is sa'i. Sa'i is to move between Safa and Marwa 7 times. Sa'i means to make an effort. In fact, it means to run. It means to run. And, literally. But Sharan, as I said, is to move between Sa'i, Safa and Marwa 7 times. There is not an independent worship. You don't think, alright, I'm in Makkah Mukarramah, let me go and do Sa'i. It's not a worship on its own. Sometimes I don't understand. Honestly, if you see people are doing Sa'i in their normal, men in their normal clothes, in normal times. I don't understand how come they're doing Sa'i. Either it's for their Umrah, but if it's for their Umrah, then it has to be done with Tawaf. So how can people do, I'm not talking about Hajj. Hajj, the Tawaf or Ziyarah Sa'i can be done in normal clothes, but I will talk about that later. Lekin, how do people do Sa'i in the normal days? I don't understand what are they doing. I still don't know. If anybody knows about that, let me know. But it's not an independent worship of its own. Sa'i, in between Safa and Marwa. So just know that. Alright, what do you do? So what you do is, that can be a little tricky for the first timers, because now it's some construction going on. So where the starting point, where the Safa is, it's a little tricky to go in there. But one thing is that Safa, just to give you a point, that Safa is, I told you in Mataf there's a green light, right across Hajar Aswad. Safa is almost at the back of that. Safa, the mountain Safa, is behind that green light, inside, right? So it's Kaaba, cornerstone Hajar Aswad, right across is green light, right behind that is, around that area is Safa, just to give you a pointer. Alright? After drinking Zamzam, before doing Sa'i, what you do is you go so don't move inside the Mataf now. Find a place where you can actually go inside the Masjid area, get out of the Mataf area. Mataf, remember, is the place where the Tawaf is done. So it's in the middle. So go into the Masjid area and find a place to go right behind that green light, right in front of Hajar Aswad, and there you do Istilam number 9. So do 8 Istilams in Tawaf, during Tawaf, and now after doing Wajib Tawaf, after drinking Zamzam, you do go behind the Hajar Aswad, but not in Mataf area because it's crowded, it's difficult. So go and do the Istilam number 9. You don't have to look at the Kaaba at this time. As far as you know that there is a green light right in the front is Hajar Aswad, you just go there, same Istilam. So again, this Islam is facing towards the Kaaba. So you face, hands in front of your face, Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, and kiss your right hand. Islam number 9. It is sunnah to do that. For some reason, say you forget it, and you do your sa'i and you're done with your umrah. Now you remember, oh my God, I didn't do Islam number 9. What do? Astaghfirullah. Don't do anything else. Alright, don't worry about that. The reason I'm saying that is that once, long time ago, I didn't have much knowledge at that time. I missed out Islam number 9. And I was, subhanAllah, I had traveled long distance, and I had done my umrah, but very little time, I had a day in there. Directly I went without taking any rest. I did my tawaf, I did my everything, forgot Islam number 9, did my sa'i, I was so tired and I slept for I don't know how much time. And then I remembered, oh my God, I didn't do Islam number 9. So, I did Islam number 9, and I did sa'i all over again. Oh my God, I was dead. So much so you will not believe it that I've just finished right before Fajr. Yani with my sa'i number 2. And I literally slept in the sajda. I slept in the sajda of the Fajr Jamaat. Oof. And subhanAllah, my ignorance at that time. I knew that if you sleep, then you break your wudu. And I did what? Now I slept in the sajda and got up, I thought I'd broken my wudu. And I went and I did my wudu. It's not easy to make wudu. Went and I prayed again my Fajr prayer. Subhanallah, that's why it is so important to have right knowledge. Right? So, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask the people of knowledge if you don't know, rather than making your own guesses. Right? So, but it's sunnah to do Islam number 9 before doing sa'i. So after you do Islam number 9, then you start from Safa. Start from Safa, and then you face the Qibla, make the intention, and then raise both hands to the shoulder as if you're making dua. And then say Allahu Akbar and La ilaha illallah 3 times, durood on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, make dua. Right? So it's a time of the acceptance of dua. Spend some time there to make dua. Islam number 9, again, I said after drinking Zamzam, you go in front of Hajar Aswad, at the back. Don't do it in Mataf area. Go inside the masjid and stand in front of the Hajar Aswad, because you're going there in any way for your sa'i. Because as I said, the Safa is right behind that. So you're going there anyway. So when you reach in front of, in the line of Hajar Aswad, do Islam number 9. That's it. That's all what I said. And then I said, if you somehow forget that Islam number 9, then just say istighfar. You don't need to worry about that. But try to remember that. Anyway. So you reach Safa, raise your hands as if you're making dua. Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah 3 times, durood on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then make dua. Now, what you do is that you start moving towards Marwa. So the other mountain. Towards Marwa. And, again, in all of these 7 circles. So first thing first. So Safa, Marwa, right? So from Safa to Marwa is 1 circle. It's not like it's not a round trip. It's one-way trip. One way is 1 circle. And then Marwa to Safa is circle number 2. Then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you started with Safa, ends with at Marwa. Alright? So do you do anything again as you could do anything in tawaf, du'as, tilawat, whatever. But make sure same etiquette, head down, humility, connection with Allah Ta'ala. And there are 2 green lights. There are 2 areas that are marked with green lights. Here is the picture. 102, slide number 102. 2 areas marked with green lights. Starting here. So here is Safa. The other end is Marwa. It's not changed now. It's an old picture. I need to change the slides. But with the latest pictures. But the green lights are there, right? So starting green lights and then there are ending green lights. So between these 2 green lights, the men, they jog. Alright, the men, they jog. So don't start having a racing competition there. The slight jogs, make sure that if you're with your wife and other people, so keep them with you. But it is a sunnat to jog between the two in the memory of Sayyidah Hajra alayhi salam when she also ran between the two, between Safa and Marwa. Alright? So, when you reach Marwa, again, repeat what was done at Safa. Raise your hand, Bismillah, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, make dua, spend some time. It's also the time of acceptance of dua. So all of these ending points between Safa and Marwa are the times of the acceptance of du'as. So your sa'i ends at Marwa. Make sure that again you ask relevant du'as that, Ya Allah, just the way that you accepted Sayyidah Hajra alayhi salam, please accept me and my family as well. Just like you accepted his child, Sayyidina Ismail alayhi salam, you accept my children as well. Ya Allah, just like you made Ibrahim alayhi salam. Because it's all in the memory of Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam. All of this. The house itself, the tawaf, hajj, sa'i, all of that, zamzam, it's all his families. It's acceptance. So make dua that, Ya Allah, the way that you made Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam your friend, Ya Allah, also make me from your awliyas. All of these relevant duas, the way, when it is asked with relevance, they are all accepted duas. Alright? So, after you're done with Marwa, make dua, that ends your umrah, technically. But, I recommend, if there is time, then you come back. So basically, Marwa is on the other end. So in order to come out, you have to actually, you're sort of forced to do another circle, all the way to Safa, because normally the gates are there. Unless you're staying at this side, I don't think there are any hotels left at this place. All of the hotels are at that place on the other side. So anyway, I recommend at this time, if it's not a makruh time, to pray 2 rakahs of shukrana with the niyat of gratefulness to Allah Ta'ala. Allah, thank you very much that you allowed me to do my umrah. One thing, umrah is done, but what is not done? You're still in the state of ihram. You are still in the state of ihram. Umrah is done. Now if you're doing Quran, you are not coming out in any way of ihram, right? You decided to do your umrah and hajj in the same ihram. So then what do? You just don't do anything. Well, there's one thing that you do. What you do is for Quran, there is another tawaf, which is called tawaf qudum. It's called tawaf qudum. That you do whenever you get time between this umrah and the starting days of hajj. And with that tawaf qudum, you can either do sa'i or you may not do sa'i. It's up to you. If you do sa'i, remember these points. If you do sa'i along with that tawaf qudum, then there is another tawaf which is coming later on, inshallah we'll cover that, it's called tawaf ziyarah. Tawafu ziyarah. Alright? This second sa'i, either you do it with tawafu ziyarah or you do it with tawaf qudum. It's up to you. Both can be done. Alright? So if you're doing Quran after your umrah, so you do another tawaf with the intention of tawaf qudum, but either you do sa'i at this point or you delay the sa'i along with tawafu ziyarah, it is up to you. But that one more sa'i has to be done. Alright? But other than that, you don't do anything. But if you're doing hajj tamattu, so you're done with umrah, so now you have to get out of the state of ihram. How do you get out of the state of ihram? You get out of the state of ihram by doing something called halaq or qasr. Halaq or qasr. Halaq means shaving your head. Qasr means shortening your hair. Alright? So, for men, it can be either shaved or it can be either trimmed. Halaq or qasr. There is no halaq for women. There is no shaving of the head for women. Alright? Halaq is shaving. Qasr is shortening. Women do qasr. Men do either of two. There was somebody who went for Hajj, and I gave a little similar presentation to them, all of those groups, and there were some women who went for Hajj, And, they were in touch with me all along. And after they did their Umrah or they did their Hajj, can't remember, they sent me a message, said, Alhamdulillah, we did halak. And I was, subhanAllah, I was literally sweating. I was saying, oh my God, I think I didn't do the presentation right. And I said, you can do halak. And they might have shaved their heads. Oh my God. And I asked, I think through SMS, what did you do? Did you cut your hair? Or I said, no, we cut it short. And I said, oh my, thanks God. So halak is shaving. Qasr is shortening. Shaving is better than qasr. Alright? Shaving is more rewarded. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, once a sahabi came to the Prophet, he asked, Ya Rasulullah, can I do qasr? Can I cut my hair short after Umrah or Hajj? He said that, no. He said, Prophet said, may Allah bless the people who do halaq, who do shave their head. He said, what about the people who do qasr? He said, may Allah bless those who do halaq. He said, Ya Rasulullah, what about the people who do qasr? May Allah bless those people who do halaq. He said, Ya Allah, Ya Rasulullah, what about those people who do qasr? He said, may the blessing of Allah upon them as well. So he did make dua thrice for those people who do halaq. And at the end, he also made dua for them. So they said that's 3 times more rewarded. So please, don't be, what is the embarrassment about? People are so embarrassed. I remember that when I was on Hajj, somebody was in the group and, he came after shortening and somebody asked him, there was some conversation, I just overheard that, why did you do halak? He said, I have to go to work in a week's time. So what? If you go to work in a week's time, can't you go like your shaved head? So subhanAllah, people have these fashions now, these days, they keep their head shaved. So, subhanAllah, they can do whatever and, Allah Ta'ala has given us an opportunity to get so much reward and mercy and we are not doing it. People think that their honor, their respect comes with their hairstyles. Remember, it's not hairstyles that earn them honor. Hey Allah, wa tu'izzu man tasha wa tuzillu man tasha. Biyadikal khair. Ya Allah, you give honor and you give disgrace to whoever you want. In your hand is every good. So, don't feel embarrassed about shaving your heads. Please, getting your head shaved. Please, I would recommend strongly, although it's allowed to cut it short, but I recommend strongly to get your head shaved. If people don't have hair on their head, of course some men don't, or some people might already have their head shaved for some reasons, they still have to get the razor passed over their heads, alright, if they don't have hair. Alright, for qasr, for men, it has to be trimmed at least 1 inch all over the head, not only on the back, not only on the side, all over the head. It had to be 1 inch, had to be trimmed. For women, the way that they do is they part their hair in 2 parts, right and the left, and right at the edge they trim like 1 inch. Alright, so that will be considered as if they trimmed the whole hair. Alright? So there are lots of barber shops that are available. In fact, they will drag you. Everybody is going to come to my shop.
For women, are there women?
No, the women, what they do is they go into their hotel rooms. They can cut it by themselves, or they can also ask other fellow group women to cut it for them. Or they can ask you as well once you come back to cut it done for them as well. So they just have to just part it and cut it at the end. Keep a scissor with them. Keep a scissor. So along with your travel pack, keep a small little scissor. Make sure that you put it in your checked-in luggage. Alright, so if you put it in your handbag, then they're going to take it out. Alright? Basically, women, it's better to do it 3 parts. So, right, left, and in the middle. Or, it can also be done in part it into 2 and cut it at the end. That's also. Alright? Any questions? For tawaf, qudum is a normal tawaf and a normal sa'i. Tawaf is defined shar'an as 7 circles around Kaaba. Sa'i is shar'an defined as the 7 trips, 7 one-way trips from starting with Safa and ending at Marwa. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you are doing Hajj Qiran, I already said that, but I will specify it even more. I said that after Umrah, you don't do anything. This cutting of the hair is to get out of the state of ihram. Once you shave your head or cut your hair, you are now technically out of the state of ihram. And Hajj Qiran, you're not getting out of the state of ihram. So you don't do anything. That's it, full stop. The next thing that you do is Tawaf Qudum. Alright? The next thing that you're doing is Tawaf Qudum. So no cutting, I've already mentioned that. But to be very specific, you don't cut your hair. Yes, you do not cut your hair at all, because you're in the state of ihram, and cutting your hair in the state of ihram, cutting is prohibited. It's not allowed. This is you are doing in order to get out of the state of ihram for Hajj Tamattu. If the hair on in layers, mashallah. Now you understand the difficulties of these technicalities. Huh? Keep it simple. Alright, honestly, I don't know the answer for that. I'll have to check. Send me an email, please. Alright. Does that woman have to be out of the state of ihram before she can cut another person's hair? No. Alright, let's take a break, inshallah. But that will be 10-minute break. Alright, not more than that. 10 or maybe I would say 5. I'll have to extend it to 5:30. 30 minutes more, inshallah. Alright? Inshallah. So now, it's not, Umrah is done, so now all the technicalities of Tawaf are covered, all the technicalities of Sa'i are covered. I only need to tell you a little bit of more technicalities, inshallah. There's not much left, inshallah ta'ala, but I think it'll take around, I would say 40 minutes, inshallah. So let's take a 5-minute break, inshallah, and then we'll start, alright?